Oh, how come the people on the Twitter can say the bad things to me? What a snowflake. Look, man, I think it's terrible when kids are bullied online, but as a grown man, this should not be a problem for you. First of all, don't click on your mentions, all right? You are choosing to visit your bullies. I wish I had that luxury in school if they were just like, hey, Trevor, click here to get a wedgie. You're like, no, I'm just going to say no.
That clip was from 2019 when Devin Nunes sued Twitter for $250 million because a parody account said things that he didn't like. The lawsuit failed, but apparently Devin Nunes did not stop there. The New York Times was first to report on a newly unsealed court filing, one that reveals in the final months of the last administration, the congressman coordinated with a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in, quote, secretly obtaining a grand jury subpoena last year in an attempt to identify the person behind a Twitter account dedicated to mocking Nunes. And just like his lawsuits, that attempt failed as well. After it was filed in November, Twitter took exception to the subpoena and asked for a review. Then Biden became president, took office, and his DOJ suppressed the subpoena. Joining us now is Andrew Weissmann, New York University law professor. He was the lead prosecutor in Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation. And Ashley Parker's here, Washington Post White House bureau chief. Lucky for us, both are MSNBC contributors. Ashley Parker, I just wanted to sort of travel down memory lane with you. I mean, Devin Nunes was in the middle of every I don't even know a TV-friendly word to use for it, but every sort of black op against the government that Donald Trump was supposed to be leading. He was down at the White House getting dropped off in Ubers, trying to unmask people. He was sort of the chief mischief makers. What part of this story intrigues you?
Well, there's just so many ironies embedded in this story. One was, as you mentioned, Devin Nunes was railing against what he claimed was unmasking during, I believe, the Obama administration was one of his complaints, that there was unmasking. And then it's revealed that basically he and the Trump Justice Department were trying to unmask, and to use the same phrase, the identity of, it seems like, a pretty anonymous parody satire Twitter user. So there's this sort of, he can give it, but he can't really take it. And then, of course, you know, he sort of doesn't like this. Again, he didn't use this word, but this misinformation being leveled against him. Sort of, there was also, this was not the account he tried to go after, but a Devin Nunes cow account that poked fun at him. And he didn't like the cow puns, but he has not been a particularly vociferous critic of the actual dangerous misinformation that Donald Trump spread about, for instance, the results of the election that led to a deadly insurrection on January 6th. So those are sort of two areas that are particularly intriguing to me.
And Andrew actually is more diplomatic than I am. I mean, he is sort of, he was not the last, but he was the first Trump shill among the House Republicans. And he was at the time on the Powerful Intelligence Committee trying to sort of aid Trump in his war against the rule of law, against his own Justice Department. I want to ask you to help us understand what could have led the Justice Department to actually subpoena this account, and then for a new administration to squash that, because it seems like some of this we're led to believe is not political at all. But it seems like under Bill Barr, it was plowing forward. Under Joe Biden, it was stopped. Let me just read some of the facts that the Times reports on. A motion to suppress the subpoena and lift the gag order that Twitter filed in March shows that the Justice Department sent the company, Twitter, a demand on November 22nd. So Trump had lost, but they were still, it was before the inauguration, to provide identifying information about the user Nunes Alt. As for the other lawsuits, Nunes' efforts to find those responsible for tweets that called him a, quote, treasonous cowpoke and utterly, spelled like an utter, worthless, have often backfired by propelling those accounts to viral success. I have to say for myself, I follow both of them now. A Virginia judge tossed the defamation case against Twitter last summer, citing a law that protects social media companies from being held liable. And 5 months later, the Justice Department stepped in with its grand jury subpoena, arguing that it needed to identify the person behind the account because of a criminal investigation that involved threatening communications and interstate commerce. What are your questions based on what is public about this very bizarre case?
So my biggest question is, are there any facts to justify the issuance of the grand jury subpoena in November of 2020. The claim in the Twitter papers where they quote an assistant United States attorney in the District of Columbia saying that this was done because of a concern about threatening communications. That seems transparently thin because we have all of the Twitter accounts and feeds, and we can see that. And also, if there was anything to it, why is it 2 months later that the Justice Department's saying, you know what, we're going to give this up? I mean, if there's a threat to a congressional officer, that's going to be taken seriously. So this really smacks of a grand jury subpoena being issued for political purposes. And the way I look at this is really not so much about Devin Nunes, but really about undermining the rule of law at the Justice Department. This same week, we learned about the Justice Department denying federal prosecutors the ability to do a search of Rudy Giuliani's devices.
Right.
They twice were asked by the Southern District of New York, and Main Justice said no. So that is using the Justice Department to shield friends. Here you have the Justice Department, by all accounts, it looks like they are using the grand jury as a sword on behalf of a political ally. And that is really, you know, the road to hell for democracy, because the rule of law means that it applies whether they're Democrats or Republicans in power, and the Justice Department isn't supposed to do the bidding of either.
The road to hell, you've got my attention. Let me just press you a little further. Do you believe if there were threats from this account to Devin Nunes that the Garland-Monaco Justice Department would not have dropped the case?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if there was something there, the Justice Department's going to take it seriously, whether the threat is of a Republican or a Democrat. When I was in the Justice Department, we brought all sorts of cases that could help or hurt a Democrat or a Republican, or could be trying to protect somebody from threats. It doesn't matter. And that's just a common idea that I think any American would think would be right. And there's no way in God's green earth that, you know, Lisa Monaco or Merrick Garland are going to quash an investigation that is righteous about somebody truly threatening somebody who's in Congress. They're not going to care about which party that person's in.